Canada went elbows up. They stood up to the Trump regime. And right now, Canada knows that they successfully pushed back against Donald Trump. They see how weak and pathetic the Trump regime is right now. And Canadian leaders are just saying how stupid the Trump regime's policies are that are crashing the United States economy, frankly, while the economy in Canada and in Europe is resilient. Why? Because we told you they were prepared for this moment. They are united. And the United States Trump regime was saying, oh, the tariffs are going to be the greatest thing. And then Donald Trump revoked the tariffs. He puts the tariffs on, revokes the tariffs, put them back on, revoked them again, claims he's going to put them back on April 2nd. But Canada's like, you realize how pathetic you look right now? Look, consumer confidence in Canada is actually soaring right now because Canadians were ready for this moment. Unlike here in the United States, where consumer confidence is absolutely plummeting. Here in the United States, the Atlanta Federal Reserve is predicting a negative 2.8% GDP contraction, whereas they previously expected a former President Biden's economy was just put into autopilot, GDP growth of about 3 to 4%. In the United States, we're talking about stagflation right now. Stagflation means contraction in the GDP, high inflation. It's like the worst case scenario. Economists here are talking about recession, great recession, and even depression based on Donald Trump's stupid policies. You take a look right here at Canadian grocery stores. They all look like this. American liquor still removed from the shelves. Canadians are sick and tired of this stupid cycle of Donald Trump. Here it is right here. I make a stupid decision. Something really bad happens. I convince my followers the problem is now magically solved. I reverse my stupid decision. Or how about this chart right here? Donald Trump, I'm adding tariffs. Trump supporters, that will create jobs. Trump, I'm removing tariffs. Trump supporters, part of the deal. Donald Trump, I'm adding tariffs. Trump supporters, this will create jobs. Donald Trump, I'm removing tariffs. Trump supporters, part of the deal. I think you get the point right here. Let's take a look at what Chrystia Freeland has to say. She's the former Canadian Minister of Finance. She's running for leadership in the Liberal Party race. It's really her against Mark Carney. Right now, the Liberal Party, by the way, is soaring in the latest polling, up 4 to 5% over the Conservative Party, because the Conservative Party, led by Pierre Poilievre, really went maple MAGA, and then Donald Trump went and screwed over Canada. So being maple MAGA, not the greatest place to be under Pierre Poilievre, who was really getting pushed by the Elon Musk algorithms. He did the Jordan Peterson podcast and talked about, all of the things that Elon Musk and Doge were doing in America that Poilievre said he wanted to do in Canada. Not the most popular place to be. And the polling in Canada is reflecting this unprecedented liberal surge. I mean, I don't think they've seen this level of popularity since 2000 or so. But let's take a look at what Chrystia Freeland says here on CNN, where she looks at the camera. She's going on American media, right? And she is saying to Donald Trump in America, do you realize how stupid the Trump regime is? They're killing your stock market. And here in Canada and Europe and elsewhere, we know what we're doing. Actually, the European stock market is up right now. The dollar is actually getting crushed vis-a-vis the euro right now. I mean, America is in a trash can right now because of the Trump regime. Here, play this clip of Chrystia Freeland, who's running for leadership in the Liberal Party.
Well, look, there have been more flip-flops than we can keep track of here in Canada. But what we do know is, the Prime Minister is right. The Wall Street Journal is right. These are the dumbest tariffs in history. This is utterly self-mutilating. It's really a perverse approach, Anderson, because America is hurting itself. Moving in this direction, the president is killing the U.S. stock market. Your stock market is actually performing worse than the stock market in Europe or in Canada. You're going to raise the prices on gas. You're going to raise the prices on groceries. You're going to make electricity more expensive. And all for what reason? Because Canadians aren't nice enough? I mean, come on. This is just utterly absurd. America is hurting itself. And the end result has been to do something which is really hard to do: antagonize Canadians. There is this wave of patriotism in Canada right now, the likes of which I have never seen in my life. we started off being really hurt by this because we know that we are really good friends to you, really good neighbors. We know that so much of America's prosperity has been built on the foundation of having Canada, the best neighbor in the world, to your north. But now I would say Canadians are getting really angry.
Now I want to share this with you as well. This is Mark Carney, also running for leadership. Many believe that Carney is the front runner, but I think it's still anybody's game for the race of leadership in the Liberal Party. Here's what Carney has to say. Let's play it.
Our economy is very strong. Look, this is a serious situation, and it will cause pain to our workers, pain to our companies, pain to our economy for a period of time. My government, if I am Prime Minister, will do everything we can to alleviate that. But we're strong. We are strong. And I would say as well, our economy is stronger than the American economy in the medium term. And we are going to be stronger than the American economy, particularly if the U.S. government continues to pursue these types of policies, because we are looking to expand our trading relationships. We do have opportunities to build this economy. We do have a better balance sheet than the United States. We do have a people who are united and determined to move forward.
And as I mentioned, the polling, the Conservative Party is on a downswing. The Liberal Party is surging when people expected the Conservative Party to have been able to form a government several months ago. The whole dynamic has changed because of Donald Trump there, with the Liberal Party surging ahead. Also, as I told you, consumer confidence is up because Canadians are standing united. Unlike here in the United States, where consumer confidence is plummeting essentially to all-time lows. And we're hearing from other Canadian leaders, authors, celebrities, you name business leaders, all talking about the unified boycott that is still going on. You saw the report that I did where Jack Daniels is saying even beyond retaliatory tariffs, the fact that Canadian provinces have taken all of the booze, American booze, off their supermarket shelves and grocery store shelves, that has actually been even more harmful to these liquor suppliers, to Kentucky Bourbon, for example, Jack Daniels and others, than even the retaliatory tariffs. Now, wait until we start getting the data about the tourism boycott. We all know how powerful that boycott is. It hasn't showed up yet in the financial data just because it'll probably pick up in the March and April data. But Canadians ain't traveling to the United States. They're canceling their vacations. They're canceling their rentals. And those in the United States who would rent out to Canadians or who run travel agencies here or are involved in the tourism, Canadians are canceling everything. I predict that it'll be about 50 to 75% of Canadians who will be participating in the tourism boycott, unless they absolutely have to come here. I think they're just like, why would I come to this place where idiocracy prevails? And look, talking about idiocracy, it's just stuff like this. You have Pete Hegseth banning photographs, our Secretary of Defense, if it has the word gay in it, and not realizing the Enola Gay, the World War II bomber, has the word gay in it, and that they're banning photos of the Enola Gay. It's just the stupidest stuff happening here as well. Talk about the Gong Show here in the United States. You have the Army Corps of Engineers being sent by Donald Trump to drain reservoirs in California into farmland, frankly run by right-leaning Republican farmers in land that's nowhere close to Los Angeles in Southern California, because Donald Trump believed that you can turn on some faucet that's somehow connected to Canada and that the water would flow and stop the fires, which had already stopped in Los Angeles. So Donald Trump dumped reservoirs that were needed for summer for these farmers into random farmland in Central and Northern California. It is the height of stupidity right now. I showed you this, by the way. This is Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau from earlier in this week saying, we are not backing down. Play this clip.
There are obviously conversations ongoing right now with the U.S. administration. But as I've said a number of times, we will not be backing down from our response tariffs until such a time as the unjustified American tariffs on Canadian goods are lifted.
And here was Prime Minister Trudeau again giving a great response to Trump changing his mind on tariffs at the end of last week. Let's play it.
Foreign Affairs Minister yesterday called all of this a psychodrama. How do you characterize it?
Thursday.
And here's my buddy, by the way. You all know him by now. Canadian Member of Parliament, Charlie Angus. Here was an incredible speech, just to give you a short portion of it, that he gave in Ottawa about how Canadians have stayed united, how they've stood up, how they were prepared, and now the American economy is tanking because of the stupidity of the Trump regime.
Once again, he's huffing and puffing and threatening to blow our nation away. And like last time, as soon as Canada stands up and shows that we are not afraid, suddenly the MAGA crew start backpedaling and maybe there's going to be a deal in the works. Maybe they're going to have something figured out. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not here to give anyone false hope because Canadians understand that this is not a trade war we're talking about. This is a war by other means. A war of disinformation and ridicule, questioning our right to exist, our sovereignty, our borders, very much the way Vladimir Putin launched his disinformation war in the years leading up to the brutal invasion of Ukraine. It's a siege war. He's poking us and trying to see if there's divisions, if there's fear. What he's learning very quickly, and what the world is learning, is that Canadians know what is at stake, and we will not bend or break. Because Donald Trump believes we have no right as a nation, and we will always be there for our nation. But I want to compare what's happening in Canada to the dumpster fire USA. Because what we've seen in just 60 days is that Donald Trump has burned up the great American century. He's burned through his alliances with key allies. He's burned through Americans' leadership role on the international stage with his disgusting attack on President Zelensky and his willingness to put America on side with North Korea and Russia. So this is how the great American century ends. It's not with a bang or with a whimper. It's like some kind of tacky roadshow from the World Wrestling Federation. And now Donald Trump has decided to go further by blowing apart the greatest economic trade relationship in history, plunging our nation and our people into chaos. But what he's really doing is making America weaker, more divided, more alone. And we know that Canada will stand up and Canada will push back and American jobs will suffer and the American economy is suffering.
Look, I'll admit it. Every time I glance in the mirror these days, I see more and more grays sneaking on in, and I get it. Aging is natural, wisdom, life experience, blah, 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 blah. But sometimes I don't need that. But here's the problem. Home hair dye kits, absolute mess. Salons, way too expensive, way too much time. And don't even get me started on those drugstore dyes that burn your skin like you just offended the hair dye gods or something. There had to be a better way, right? Well, there is. This podcast is sponsored by Simpler Hair Color, the easiest way to eliminate grays, period. No mixing, no weird science experiments in your bathroom, and no harsh chemicals that make your scalp feel like it's been set on fire. Simpler Hair Color is made for guys who just want an easy, effective way to cover grays. I used Simpler Hair Color just last week before a party, and let me tell you, zero drips, zero mess, and in just a few minutes, I look like I'd taken 5 years off my face. I went with the dark brown. It blended so naturally with my hair, no one could tell I used anything, except, of course, for the compliments. And here's what makes Simpler Hair Color stand out. You get one product for both your hair and your beard. No need to buy separate dyes. A single can equals the same amount of dye as 4 boxes of the store kits. That's a game changer. No irritation, no harsh chemicals. This stuff is actually gentle on your skin. It's made in the USA with over 9,500 5-star reviews, so this isn't some random fly-by-night product. It's trusted, proven, and actually works. And it makes sense because Simpler Hair Color was started by 2 guys, Snehal Patel and Mitch Brown, who were just like us. They were sick of dealing with messy, outdated dyeing methods, so they made something better, easier, and way less of a hassle. So why trust simpler hair color over salon treatments or drugstore dyes? Because it actually works without all the nonsense, plus free shipping and free returns means you could try it 100% risk-free. Now, here's the deal. Say goodbye to grays the easy way with simpler hair color. Head to simplerhaircolor.com/Meidas and use code Meidas for 10% off your order. Once again, that's simplerhaircolor.com/Meidas, MEIDAS for 10% off. And don't forget to use promo code Meidas so they know that I sent you.
Folks, we're seeing headlines throughout like this one. Trump's policies have shaken a once solid economic outlook. The bank stocks here are down 7 to 12%. The Wall Street Journal headlines are how tariff wars are risking sinking the United States into Great Depression. Donald Trump is also killing a $52.7 billion semiconductor CHIPS Act, destroying red states and blue states alike. And what does the Trump administration have to say about this, about Canada? Just pathetic, name calling. Here you have Donald Trump's Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, calling Trudeau a numbskull. Play this clip.
As President Trump has said many times, tariff is his favorite word. I would say that reciprocal is probably his second favorite word. Mm-hmm. And I think we have to be open to the idea, if you want to be a numbskull like Justin Trudeau and say, oh, we're going to do this, then tariffs are going to go up. But if you want to sit back, have a discussion with the Commerce Department, USTR, they all have my phone number too. I am happy to have a discussion with our foreign counterparts.
Well, guess what, Scott Bessent? Trudeau just ate your lunch. The Canadians just went elbows up and they made you look like a fool, pathetic and weak. And now you have Scott Bessent over here saying, you know what? Things may be bad in the United States, but guess what? We're just detoxing. The economy is detoxing here. Here, play this clip.
We're trying to get rates down. And, could we be seeing that this economy that we inherited starting to roll a bit? Sure. And look, there's going to be a natural adjustment as we move away from public spending to private spending. The market and the economy have just become hooked. We've become addicted to this government spending, and there's going to be a detox period. There's going to be a detox period.
This guy looks and sounds so freaking arrogant. Oh, we're just detoxing. Just detoxing. Shut up. You were handed a Goldilocks economy and you threw that Goldilocks economy into the ground. And then you have shows like this, Maria Bartiromo on Fox saying, it's a recession. The recession's coming, but it's Biden's recession. Play this clip.
That's, by the way, that's why I said earlier it would be Biden's recession. And I know the haters out there will slam me later. The other day I said something and they went nuts on me on Twitter, on X. I said, well...
All of that's so utterly pathetic. Great work, Canada, standing up to the pathetic Trump regime. You've also showed the world what you can do when you stand up. You have showed how weak and pathetic Donald Trump is, what he does as a cornered little rat. No offense to cornered rats. Great work, and to all of our Canadian supporters out there. We know there are millions of you. This is the most watched podcast in Canada. We stand with you against the Trump regime, and we look forward to the day when we will be allies again, when we will be best neighbors and best friends again. This is a passing period. We stand up to that cornered rat. No offense to cornered rats, this Trump fascist regime. We stand up to bullies, and until they rip this microphone from my very hands, there will be fearless reporting here at the MeidasTouch Network and highlighting your great work. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.meidastouch.com. All 100% USA union made.